Let's take a look at the other side of the bracket now. So the Astros and White Sox, this has been the matchup pretty much for the last month. These two have been on pace on a collision course for each other, as the Rays, obviously the only team in the American League to hit 100 games, the Astros and White Sox trailing just behind them. The White Sox, the main concern I have about them, the Astros, by the way, have won the season series versus the White Sox this year. But the main concern I have with the White Sox is coming into this series, they had a little bit of questions on their pitching rotation in terms of injuries. Carlos Rodon, in his last start, his last fastball clocked in at 89.4 miles per hour. So he's been a little bit banged up. Lance Lynn came off the injury list, which may have been more of a precautionary thing. And then you had Lucas Giolito, who had a hamstring injury. So literally the top three guys in the White Sox rotation all have question marks regarding their health. Age is only a number, except when we talk about these managers for both the White Sox and the Astros. We get a little bit of an old school throwback here with Tony La Russa at age 77 versus Dusty Baker at age 72. And by the way, Dusty is looking spry here. Dusty out there just downing beers in the celebration. Loved it. Fun stat about Dusty, this is going to be his 5th team that he has took to a division series. 5th team. Dusty Baker, one of the best underrated managers in baseball over the last couple decades. The only thing that's hurt Dusty, of course, is he's one of the few in that old guard that hasn't converted it into a World Series title. He does have the team. He does have the horses here with the Astros to do it. I am going to say that this is going to be a series that goes 5 games. I am going to pick the Astros to win in 5. I just like what they're doing. You know, they have Kyle Tucker, who came up big for them. Bregman's healthy. Correa, that is going to be a fun storyline, because the way the Houston Astros fan base was cheering him in their last home game was almost like, is this a farewell tour? Is this all but done? Are the Astros not even going to make an attempt to re-sign Carlos Correa? So I expect Carlos Correa to have his biggest postseason yet. And this is saying something, because Carlos Correa in the postseason, he's been a dude. He was the only thing keeping them alive last year. He was why they were really in that ALCS to the very end there. I just like this Astros team. I know that's controversial to say after a couple of years ago, but to scrap back, to fight back after all of that bullshit they had to deal with, I think it speaks a lot to the character, a lot of the veterans on that roster. You go out, Jose Altuve.
Yeah, Dusty Baker only gets to be a manager again because of the largest cheating scandal of the last 100 years in the sport. Ends up costing AJ Hinch in the front office their jobs. You said that we've had this penciled in for like a month. I've been watching this series for like 4 months now. I'm like, ooh, White Sox and Astros. I want to see that in the CS. And now they're going to play in the DS, just by the way that, you know, Tampa Bay kind of pulled away towards the back end of the season with dominant baseball. Just off the bat, I'm going to take the Astros in 4, but my rule is also that I don't pick sweeps in baseball playoffs because the sample sizes are too small and too random. But I think the Astros are going to win this series, and I think they're going to win it rather handily. And this is not an indictment of the White Sox. You mentioned that their pitching staff has had problems, but they do have a plethora of guys down there. The White Sox game plan might be to just use 5 pitchers the entire playoffs, where they use Lynn and maybe Rodon. If he's there and healthy, they'll use him. The Giolito and Dallas Keuchel, and then Liam Hendricks and Craig Kimbrell. That's a tongue twister. Craig Kimbrell out of the bullpen, and just use like starters in different situations where, you know, Rodon might become a reliever or Keuchel might become a reliever in certain situations. Kind of like what the Nationals did a couple of years ago to win the World Series. And their lineup top to bottom is stacked. Like the White Sox there's not an indictment of the White Sox. I think the Houston Astros are the best team in the American League. I would pick them to go to the World Series at this point. I think they are really good, even though the names are not ones that we recognize. Like obviously Springer is no longer there. Verlander's no longer there. Garrett Cole's no longer there. And those were the pieces that kind of dominated through the 2017 to 2019 run for the Astros. But Yordan Alvarez had a really great rookie year, the year they lost the World Series. And now he's a legitimately great player in baseball right now. Aledmus Diaz, people may remember Aledmus Diaz. He ended up finishing with a 907 OPS this year. So he's really good now after he was tossed away by the St. Louis Cardinals and picked up by the Astros. The core 4 is now a core 3, being Jose Altuve, Carlos Correa for now, and Alex Bregman. All of them have had huge postseason success, and all of them were really good this year. And you mentioned Kyle Tucker. People have questions about the pitching staff, and it's not like the 2019 team where they had literally the 3 best pitchers in the American League, being Justin Verlander, Garrett Cole, and Zach Greinke. They do still have Greinke, but it's a lot of Lance McCullers and Framber Valdez after that. So I think that those are good enough. I really like Valdez. I think he's starting game 2, and McCullers is going to start game 1. I actually do like the Astros pitching staff more than most people do, which is why I feel confident, because the one place people can point to and say, oh, that's a flaw for the Astros, I don't think is actually that big of a flaw. So I think Houston will win this series. That is my prediction. I don't feel good about how many games it's going to be because it's baseball and everything is so weird, but I do really like the Houston Astros in this series.